Pues la vida no era fácil.
Life was not easy. The water situation was very difficult.
A young woman's treacherous trek for water.
And a school for children who dream big.
Pues este es mi primer negocio.
This is my first business. I'm learning accounting and small business.
This is Food for the Poor, but we're not just food.
We go beyond the plate to discuss a full range of development programs, all designed to break the cycle of poverty.
By empowering people with the tools and training they need to transform their lives for generations to come.
These stories will inspire you, and best of all, you can be part of the change that takes place.
Join us as we go beyond the plate. Well, welcome to Beyond the Plate, a Food for the Poor podcast. I'm your co-host, Paul Jacobs.
That's right, and I'm Daniel Patiño, and today we're heading to Colombia.
You said that with a little bit of an emphasis.
I am, because I have some roots there. That's right. Family is from Colombia, and you never leave, right? Your roots, and you're always tied to them. And my heart, and also where sustainable community is happening right now.
Yeah, we're talking about a place where families, neighbors, community leaders, even the youth, all bring something to the table for the purpose of helping them towards a self-sustainable future. And that's just not just a definition. We're going to really get and dive into what that really means to people in Colombia.
That's right. And joining us today are two friends. I'm going to call them friends. And you've seen, both of you actually seen firsthand what Food for the Poor does. We're talking with David Langle, our regional program manager, and Ian Wood, director of studio production, who've been behind the cameras for almost 2 decades, capturing stories across Latin America and the Caribbean, and is also where Food for the Poor serves the least of these. So we want to talk about sustainable community development, and that's a big word. I'm just going to go through that, not to confuse anybody. And it's just a big word to say, what we say around here at Food for the Poor, is to help your neighbor, help others with a hand up, not a handout. Yeah. And today we're going to dive into that. Food for the Poor has 10 focus areas in our Sustainable Community Development Program. And if you want to know all about them, subscribe to our channel. But we go deep into all of them. But today, we're focusing on a few and the people whose lives they've impacted. Now, don't give me stats. Don't give me numbers. Tell me something from really your heart. What is it when you visited some of these communities while in Colombia? What told you this is working?
But Danny, like you, I'm half Colombian, so it's very near and dear to me to be able to give back to my roots as well through the work that we do at Food for the Poor. From what I've seen, even beyond just doing the projects, and I've lived in the country, and so I've really become accustomed to the culture of the people, and I think I do want to start there. The hospitality, and Ian can add to this as well. The hospitality that the people give is like no other, and I think this is maybe tied so strong to the Latin America roots that hospitality is there. They welcome people into their community. Myself, as a regional program manager, I'm taking notes like, okay, they seem organized. They're welcoming this opportunity, right? We're a guest. We're not here to tell them what to do.
Yeah.
We understand their challenges, their difficulties, but we also want to hear their thoughts, their input, understand their struggles, understand their lifestyle, and see if there's something that can be done. And that's pretty much been the approach for everything that we do. And I mean, not just Colombia, but the other countries that we work in as well. And
then Ian, you saw that a little different, because you're capturing this through your eyes, which are kind of your production eyes, right? Which is your behind the camera kind of deal. David will look at the numbers, but you look at it in a different way. What's something that stood out when you landed in Colombia that you're like, okay, this is just not another trip that I'm actually joining?
Yeah, I mean, I have to say the hospitality was amazing. Like David was saying, from the moment that we arrived, everybody was so friendly and so eager to show us like the projects that they've been working on. So I traveled a lot with Food for the Poor. For about 10 years, I was in the field almost all the time. And Paul and I have been to Haiti and Guatemala like 20, 30 times. I'm not even sure.
Many camera shots, many camera takes, yes.
Yeah, and usually I'm on the other side. I'm on the other side of the camera, and I'm filming Paul or whoever else is like speaking on camera, telling the stories of the people. Everywhere we went, the children were like excited. They were happy. They're smiling. They're ambitious. Like we have a lot of amazing stories to tell about how these children's lives were transformed. So they're the basic needs that you have, like water, food, that Food for the Poor addresses. And then you want to break the cycle of poverty. So it's about empowering them. So we'll also talk about the entrepreneurial spirit, how it's thriving with these children.
Now, Ian, give us, and we've been on, as you said, we've been on so many communities. We've seen things in Haiti. We've been together in Nicaragua. We've been in places like Guatemala, Honduras. But you have to find a way to convey this through a lens of a camera and the story so that people see self-sustainability.
So David did a wonderful job of setting this all up. And before we even went, we're talking, he's saying, hey, I want to take you to these different locations and show you what's happening here. And this is why I think it would be a great story to tell. So we went to a remote community in Colombia that was in desperate need of water. The family we intended to interview wasn't home, so we had to pivot, and we met another family and a young lady named Sandra. And what she had to endure to get water every day was almost unbelievable.
Siempre teníamos que ir muy lejos, ir al monte.
We had to walk very far down the mountain, taking lots of risks. There were lots of bugs. We often had to go barefoot, carrying water buckets to fill up. We also brought a wash tub to wash dishes and clothes.
What she had been doing for most of her life was going to fetch water every morning, sometimes in the dark or at dawn. Her responsibility, and she's such a responsible person. Like you can tell, she's taken care of the family. She's taking care of the little ones. And so what she had to do, and she took us on this journey, was to go fetch the water every single day. So we walked with her on this day, and you're walking through the mountains, and it's this winding dirt trail, and then it goes into the jungle, and then you go down, and there's this stream that runs through the jungle. It's absolutely beautiful. It's so picturesque, but also this water isn't safe, but it's like the only water they have access to. So they're going to drink it anyways, and the kids get sick often. She has to carry all this back. Like on this day, everybody was excited that we were there, so we had a group going with us, and the little ones were bathing in the water. But sometimes she does that all by herself. And she's carrying these, big jugs, everything she can carry, she's bringing back to the house so the family has water.
And she's young, right?
Yeah. Young teen, and this is depriving her, to some degree, this is depriving her of her youth. When we were walking back with Sandra and everybody's carrying all the water they can, and I'm just sweating, like trying to keep up with them and film, But, for them, it was a daily thing. And for like, if you're not used to that, it's like, wow, this is hot, it's heavy, and they do it all the time. And so then when you get back to the community, you can see the project that's just been completed. It's this beautiful water tower. It's like a monument to how their lives are changing and the development of this community, because they have a deep well, pumps it up to the water tower, and then there's plumbing that goes right into all these houses in the community. This project is amazing. It'll serve 46 families, so we're talking about hundreds of individuals receiving water. Just listen to what Sandra had to say.
Esto es un gran beneficio no solo para ellos.
This is a great benefit, not just for my family, but for others as well. They're doing well, and their lives have changed. Thank you very much.
David already has reports from the community medical services that the kids are healthier and fewer reports of illness are coming in now that they don't have to drink that contaminated water. So no longer do you have to go on a dangerous trek to get water. It's there. You turn on the faucet. It's running. You can do your laundry there. Everybody's drinking safe water. The kids are healthier. And then it frees Sandra and the other kids up to go to school, to do other things rather than just risking themselves to go fetch water.
And you change one thing. It was just to give them water. Picture this. You're crafting an amazing beer, but stepping into the non-alcoholic market feels impossible. Too expensive, too risky. Sound familiar?
That's where Brews comes in. They're your mobile partner for advanced de-alcoholization and pasteurization. No major investment, no hassle, just results.
Their mobile tech lets you create non-alcoholic beer without losing that great flavor your fans love. Same great beer, a whole new market.
And here's the kicker. They've recovered the alcohol byproduct, which you can use to create seltzers, cocktails, and more products. More opportunities, more revenue.
Based in North Carolina, Brews partners with craft breweries of all sizes. Whether you're brewing 2,500 barrels or 200,000, they bring the technology to you.
You want to test the waters? They even offer small batch trials to see if it's right for you. No upfront cost, zero risk.
So why wait? Don't put the non-alcoholic market and seltzers on hold. Brews can help you grow without breaking the bank.
Cheers to that. Brews.com. That's B-A-R-E. Brews.com.
We're fortunate to have David Langle, our regional program manager, and Ian Wood, director of studio production, here today. And David, one of the principles in this work is that everyone, like we've been talking about, everyone brings something to the table. And what does that look like in Colombia?
We don't want to do everything for you. We meet us halfway, right? What can you contribute? What are your assets? What can you bring to the table? And that's the ideal scenario that we hope to always encounter whenever we do our projects, that the community is involved, perhaps a local municipality, or if it goes beyond, maybe the national government or regional government. And then there's, our partners and Food for the Poor as well. So that circle of participation is extremely key and ideal, because if you have the buy-in of the community, you have the involvement, it helps make that project become more sustainable.
What I love how you just described that, it's the clear line in the sand between charity and community development.
Right. So with economic empowerment, at least where we went to in La Miranda, Cauca, when we were doing our analysis, our investigation, we are aware, okay, this community has a lot of potential. It's very organized. And that's a huge piece to the larger puzzle. And so in this project, the blackberries that we were mentioning earlier is they're very well organized. There is a very tragic history of this community.
I think this would be a really good time to kind of get into that. If you could just kind of take a little bit of a dovetail into that.
Danny, this might resonate with you, perhaps maybe family-wise, and maybe myself. Even though we haven't been directly impacted by it, it's you can say, quote unquote, our people, right? So Colombia has been in a conflict, internal conflict for 50, 60 years, depending on who you ask, 50 or 60 years, at least 50 years. Bloodshed, the war on drugs, the entire country was affected. And this community, particularly for decades, has been affected by conflict. And for this community, it was surrounded by cartels, not to their own choice. There was limited opportunities during that time, or the past several decades. The only job opportunities that these communities had really were day jobs, service type jobs, but it was very informal, right? So these families are earning next to nothing. And the fact that, they're in this high risk area, right? They can't move. It's impossible. They're in a high risk area, not of their choice. And so imagine you have a member of the cartel going up to the community, offering you, hey, community, I will give you $150 every week, could be month, if you grow this product. What was this product? This product, unfortunately, was an illegal crop.
Right.
Lack of better words, marijuana. Okay. So you have families day in and day out looking to find any means necessary to put food on the table for their children.
Right.
Find ways to send their children to the school. Find just any way, shape, or form to survive. The current labor market couldn't offer that. But then you have an opportunity to earn $150. That's a huge change. And so for the families, everyone that we spoke with, they had no choice but to say yes, because it was one of those situations where if you don't do this, we will come back and perhaps make things a whole lot worse for you guys.
Right. It's a forced yes. There is no alternative other than a yes. Exactly.
Yeah.
Wow.
So for that community, for the longest time, it was all about survival.
It's better to be stained with blackberry juice than marked by blood. David, how did this remind you of why this mission matters?
The president said, the president of the community said that quote. Okay. He lived through all this conflict. He's seen it. And so for him to say that, when I heard it, it went a long way. That tragic history, and has now been converted to an opportunity of hope. That all future generations no longer have to experience what the current generation has experienced. That they're growing into legal crops, blackberries. And I'm sure the stories will be told by their parents, grandparents, right?
Yeah.
But all future generations are much safer. thanks to this project. One of the biggest challenges for any farmer in Colombia is earning a fair price for what they cultivate. Okay. And largely because there's a lot of middlemen that come in and sure, make an agreement with the community. We'll pay you for this much, but then that middle person sells it to the market at 10 times the amount.
And we've seen this. Ian and I, we've traveled to Guatemala. We've seen this.
I couldn't help but think of El Yalu also, where we saw projects in the mountains and the women up there had their own cooperative and they were growing export quality produce. Right. And that's the key. The quality was so high that they could sell it internationally. So that it's a very high standard. It's very hard to achieve, but that's part of what Food for the Poor does, educating the farmers on how to get to that level so the crops are worth more.
And you went to a school and you met a young man by the name of Yohan. And why don't you, that story stuck with us. So why don't you tell our listeners a little bit about our audience about Yohan?
Again, the children in Colombia just amaze me. There were so many there that were so ambitious and so excited about learning. So we go into the mountains of Colombia, where there's an entrepreneurial school. So all the kids there, they all want to start their own businesses and they're learning all the basics. And we started off by meeting one young man, Yohan. He lives on the side of the mountain in a house that's made out of corrugated metal and tarps, dirt floor. It's very humble, but it's perfectly kept. Yohan and his little sisters, Melanie and Valentina, they get them all dressed up to go to school. And then they hike up the side of this mountain, and they do it if it's raining. It doesn't matter what the conditions are. They go up the side of the mountain, they catch a bus that takes them to the entrepreneurial school. So the school is beautiful. Anything you could ever want to learn in this area, it's all very applicable to the area. So they're learning how to cultivate crops. They're learning animal husbandry. Then they learn how to run a business. So they have regular classes like you'd have in a school that any of us might have attended. But then they apply that knowledge to what it would take to run a local business. So when you're doing math, you're learning about inventory. You're learning about sales. You're learning how do I apply this to a business here? Then they actually take care of all the animals and the crops, and they have their own products. And when you go to lunch in this school, everything on the table is stuff that they grew. They grew it right there. Wow. And then they have a storefront because it's on a highway, where Yohan got dropped off for school and all his classmates. They're on a busy highway. So they open up a shop and they have a restaurant and they serve the people. And now they're learning how to run a business and how to interface with clients. Everybody there has their own side hustle too. Yeah. So they got the school itself as a business that you're learning. And then they have their own small businesses. And David got them all organized and we lined them up. And each one of them takes a step forward and tells us about their small business, and they're so excited. They have their elevator pitch ready to tell you all about their business. And Yohan steps up and he makes energy bars and he has his own secret recipe. He's so excited about it. He wouldn't share his recipe, because that's
of course, it's proprietary.
I know. He's got that.
You're gonna take it to America and make $1 million with his
recipe. He's
right?
not having that. That's a secret recipe. He does his own packaging. He made his own labels. He does his marketing, and he's ready for business. And they all stepped up and they all had their own small businesses that they were working on, and they get to develop them there.
Thank you very much for helping us. We are people of limited resources. You are helping us so much.
This is a combination of a school for the local kids that are ambitious and want to go there, but it's also an Angels of Hope school. So that means that you have some kids that live on the property, they might not have a home to go to, and then some of them might have a home, but it's a long way off, and their parents kind of send them what we would understand as a boarding school. So it's we want you to go there and get those skills because the kids are excited about it. And again, you're breaking the cycle of poverty. Now these kids know how to start a business or how to employ other people. So it's absolutely wonderful. And the enthusiasm that you see here, these kids were absolutely incredible.
And those are pretty much those alter your dreams of doing something in the future. Versus a kid that's outside the walls of that school that pretty much don't know if they can get a meal tomorrow.
David, we want to go back to you for a moment and just talk about some of the misconceptions that take place. What do we need to understand about really the life cycle or the longevity or the time frame it takes to do this?
So, Paul, great question. It's not easy. In layman's terms, it's not easy. It's not a quick fix. It's not... to transform an entire community or even several communities, a year is not enough. 6 months is not enough. 2 years is not enough. 3 years is not enough. And so really it boils down to the investigation that needs to be done. And sure, we find what the most important needs are, and we have our main focus areas that we attend to. But we also are aware that we're not going to be there forever. We want to get to a point where the community, once we do our number of interventions, it gets to a level where, okay, community, based on everything that we've done and we've seen through data and numbers and through hearing what you all think, we believe that you're ready. You don't need us anymore. That's the game plan, that you don't need Food for the Poor anymore, because we've got to a level where you and the community and for the next generations are sustainable, right? Mm-hmm. That's the end game. That's what we want to arrive at. If I could say, I wish my job didn't exist. If my job didn't exist, there'd be no poverty. Guess what? That's why we're here. Right.
Thank you, truly, for being here today, because I think that you have given a voice to so many in Colombia that will no longer remain voiceless.
Amen to that.
I love it. On that note, fist bump. Thank you, guys.
Hey, everyone. Thanks for listening to Beyond the Plate. We love having you here.
Keep up with us on Instagram and TikTok at beyondtheplate.podcast.
And if you enjoy the show, don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel and give our videos a like. Just search Food for the Poor Beyond the Plate.
Your support means the world to us.
All right, folks. We'll see you on the next Beyond the Plate episode.
I'm waving.